Welcome home, Raiders. Tonight, we try to discover why my voice sounds the way that it does and why I feel tired and logy. Oh yeah, it's because of BlizzCon. This is CTR 369.
You're listening to Convert to Raid. Convert to Raid. The podcast for raiders in the world of Warcraft.
Oh man, it was a weekend. I tell you that much. From the CTR Command Center and Broadcast Emporium in Sacramento, California. Today is November 5th, 2019, and it is now, 7:04 in the PM. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining us from around the world of Warcraft. My name is Pat Crane. I am your host, and as always, I am joined by the lovely and talented and probably very tired Thyst. Hello, Thyst.
Thank you for the compliments. I appreciate it. I'm feeling pretty depressed after BlizzCon, so it helps.
Oh, that's no fun.
God.
So depressed. But we had such a good time.
We really did. It was probably the best BlizzCon ever.
You feel depressed. I'm sick. You know, sure.
It's going to be a great show.
At least I'm in my own home. I'm not getting anybody else sick except for maybe my wife. Just from being here. Ugh.
I mean, yeah, but it's not like the usual.
Yeah, I guess it is. Well, welcome everybody, and welcome back from BlizzCon. Today's show is going to, we're going to do a little bit of a BlizzCon recap, of course. But first, I also kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the 15th anniversary stuff.
A clever strategy.
Wait, hold on a sec. Thrall, you were a little low.
A clever strategy.
There we go. All right, he's back. So before we get going, I just want to say 15th anniversary event is now through January 7th. Just letting everybody know. This is the thing where you can talk to Chromie. You can do the LFR stuff for the 9 bosses. I guess there are some problems.
Yeah.
It seems like I know that I went in there today and I could not find Chromie for about 3 or 4 minutes.
Well, she's busy, you know?
And then she just appeared. And then the queues were about an hour. So I didn't do it.
Hey, man, this is a huge event, and everybody wants a piece of that. And, it's like this was kind of the, Shadowlands is still a ways away, but at least, when we get home from BlizzCon, we can do the anniversary thing.
Spoilers, so you said Shadowlands. Come on.
How is that a spoiler?
Oh, spoiler. Oh, sorry. It's not a spoiler anymore.
It's not.
It's not. No, but at least we have until January 7th to do all the things. So if there are some problems initially, it's probably okay.
It's fine.
We get
everything will work itself out. It'll work itself out. It's fine.
And so we have old school Alterac Valley. We have the world bosses. They return, the dragons, and we actually got today. We got confirmation today that the Visions of N'Zoth, the next patch, right? Mm-hmm. That's going to come after the holidays. The next raid is going to be after the holidays. And for that, we say thank you, Blizz. Yeah! We really do. Which means that you and your raid team have time to do all the LFR bosses plus continue to get AOTC or whatever it may be, work on your gearing or whatever before all the gearing changes again. And then you got to figure out what corrupted gear you need.
Who knows, man?
I know.
I already feel like I'm a little bit corrupted.
Do you like the voice, the new voice that I have?
To be honest, it's not that different from your old voice.
It sounds different in my head. Maybe
you could slap on an accent and it would probably be a lot different. Like a Norwegian accent.
I don't know what accents I can do right now. I'm just like, what is a thing? It's like I'm kind of spacey a little bit, I mean, normally.
For real.
It's just my normal,
It doesn't sound too bad. I mean, you could probably work on your diction and vocabulary.
My diction. Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about BlizzCon because that was last week, and we should just kind of run through it. What do you think? So, yes, Shadowlands, yes, Diablo 4, yes, all this other stuff. But I kind of, do you want to do it chronologically, or do you want to just do highlights, or what? Chronologically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it chronologically.
Okay. So on Tuesday, I got there. I drove down. The 7 hours in the car was fine.
Are you sure?
It was fine. I got
fine.
and then I had a car. It was great.
Right.
Then I wasn't paying any money for an Uber. I couldn't find a parking spot.
Of course.
The hotel was full. You were
Did
there.
you
You
ever-
saw it.
I saw.
Did
Did you ever find a parking spot?
I did once. And then I had to move again.
Oh yeah, that was when you told me to get out of your car, go stand in the parking spot,
and stand in a spot so that I could go and park there. But it was
I was a pylon.
It was
a glorified pylon.
On the hotel that I was at, it was the Portofino, which is right on the corner of Catella and what is it? I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. They had spots for 15 minutes for those people that were registering to get into the hotel, and no other spots were available. So people were just taking those 15-minute spots. I think there were like 4 or 5 of them forever.
Yeah.
On that last day, I actually got a notice that said, "This is your last warning to move your car, or it will be towed." And I said, "Well, I'm out, so it's good."
Okay.
So it's
Cool.
fine. Cool. But I was this close to actually getting my car towed,
BlizzCon miracle, man.
which was great. Yeah, the drive back was a little. I don't know.
Was it bad?
Well, I was just kind of tired.
How many hitchhikers did you pick up?
Just like the normal like half dozen,
Right.
baker's dozen, whatever it was.
A baker's dozen of hitchhikers?
That's fine.
I really I don't understand why you hate hobos so much, but you love hitchhikers. They're basically the same thing.
No, they're way different. All right, and then when I got there on Tuesday, guess what? I went down to the Hilton, and I immediately got locked into conversations with everybody. The guildies that were there. We actually went out and had a good time. We went out into Bottle Logic and the Dubliner, which is like a karaoke bar.
I was seeing pictures. I was experiencing some FOMO on that. Around really late at night that night, I got a DM from Taryn, and it was just a picture of you and Sloot.
Oh yeah. And then
gazing lovingly into each other's eyes.
Yeah, then we went back to the hotel, or we went back to the Hilton, and I ran into Sloot and Taryn Gregory, and we were there. Well, Taryn had to leave at about 1 or 2, but we ended up staying there until about 3 o'clock in the morning, just gabbing.
Yeah, just reunited.
That's
and
right.
It feels so good.
And then I woke up at 7:30 in the morning because that's what you do. It's BlizzCon.
Sure.
And then you got there.
Yeah, I did. I landed in LAX, and then I got picked up by Pat Crane.
Look at that.
I got to ride in Pat Crane's car.
Yep.
Can you explain why it smells like snack cakes? Like you get in there and you're like,
It's all the hitchhikers.
Man,
it's all the
where's
hitchhikers.
little Debbie? Oh, got it.
It's all of the hitchhikers. So picked you up at the airport. Then we went around, and we actually got to do a special little pit stop over at Intellivision. You want to talk about that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Tommy Tallarico invited me to tour Intellivision before BlizzCon because they are working on a new console that is coming out next year, so October 10th, 2020. And we got to go to Intellivision. It's at this building somewhere in California. It's named something else because it's a secret. So we went in there.
It's a secret.
Was a secret. We went in there. We met Tommy. They're crafting all of the things in house. So there was like parts laying around and prototypes and controllers and all that stuff. We got to meet.
Got a T-shirt.
So many. We did.
Yeah, we got a T-shirt.
We got to meet so many giants in the industry. We got to meet the dude who invented Echo the Dolphin.
It was really cool.
It was. And we got to try out the Amico, and we literally got to play video games with Tommy Tallarico.
Yeah, we were there for about an hour and a half, and we were playing games with Tommy Tallarico, and he, like all the games he's redoing the music on or whatever. And or at least he's, inserting his own little touches here and there. And so, of course, the speakers were cranked.
It was pretty cool.
And it was
like playing with him and watching him play.
It was super cool. It was great. And it's for those guys that don't know exactly what it is, I mean, I know that they did announce an announcement and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, I can't talk. But it's kind of like a new version of the Wii.
Yeah, kind of.
Not
but
really.
it's got so many, like I knew all about it because I've been following it since it was announced, but there's a lot of things attached to this console release that are completely unprecedented and kind of mind-blowing, actually. And I'm not a console player, obviously, but like there's some stuff coming out with the Amico that is going to blow people's freaking minds.
I think so. I think so. And we'll figure that out as we'll maybe talk more about that as that time approaches. But it was just kind of this cool little fun side trip that we got to take part in because we were just happened to be there for BlizzCon.
Absolutely. And Tommy's a solid G.
It was all you. It wasn't really me. He didn't want to see me.
I mean, he invited moi, so
right.
But I had to bring you because I was literally like peeing my pants the whole time.
Which
not literally.
Which got kind of,
Yeah, the opposite of literally, like not
figuratively,
figuratively
right.
Peeing my pants the whole time. Right. Gotta make that clear.
Yes. So that was Wednesday, and then we got to go to your raid house and all that kind of stuff. Meet up with the guys that were there, and that was fun. The boys.
Yeah, and then that night we went to the Hilton and we hung out and had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same thing. I don't even remember what happened Thursday, but
Thursday was Con Before the Storm.
Con Before the Storm. And Con Before the Storm was very, very good this year, I thought.
Yeah, it was. The room for World of Podcasts was the room that Con Before the Storm is usually in. So it was massive. It was a little bit daunting walking in there. It's like, oh yeah, that's where the panel's going to be. It's like, cool. It's an entire room. It's a huge audience. But no, it was cool. Before all that, you and I got our statues and our badges and stuff. We went to Cheesecake Factory with the raid team. I saw XQC for the first time that day.
One of many times that you saw XQC throughout the weekend. And you were like such a fangirl for XQC that you were like, oh my God, there he is.
Yeah.
Should I go up and talk to him? We're all like, yeah, just go up and talk to him. Just go up and say hey. Hey, I'm from Canada. You're from Canada. We should be best friends.
We'll get to that.
We should be best friends. That's what we were saying in the restaurant. It's fine. And she chickened out. She totally chickened out.
I certainly did.
Yes.
And I chickened out twice more that day. Anyway, Con Before the Storm was great.
Yes.
It was full of things. It was a huge room with lots of space for the meet and greets.
Yep.
Lots of space for vendors and for games and prizes, et cetera, et cetera.
And if you guys have been there before, if you guys have been to Con Before the Storm before, you would have noted that really the room is just like this partitioned off thing. It was big because it was in the ballroom, but it was partitioned off little things.
Yeah.
This year they opened up the entire thing. All the walls were parted except for one little partition, and that was for the World of Podcasts, which is still a huge venue for the World of Podcasts.
Yeah.
Very, very large. And so it was spectacular. There were lines. I mean, like Taliesin and Nevitel were meeting people for 4 hours. 4 hours.
Yeah, it was a big deal. That's so good for Con Before the Storm.
And Taryn had a huge line, and
Taryn and Diva, yeah.
Yeah, Taryn and Diva, and Gosh, there were just so many great people to meet and talk to during that entire time, and there were lots of meet and greets and all that kind of stuff. So it was very, very cool. The artwork was hung up better than ever before, and I was impressed.
So was I. I was really impressed. Everybody worked so hard.
That's what that Wowhead money will bring.
Yeah, that Wowhead money.
That's right.
And World of Podcast was fantastic. Mine was first. I was up there with, I was sitting next to Taryn. He prompted me to speak about Ian, which I wasn't going to, but I did.
Yes, you did.
That was fine. But that was great. Your panel was fantastic as well.
It was great. It was great. And Tali was there, and Max, and who else? Shoe Boots and Raven. It's great to meet Raven. And Shoe Boots I hadn't met in person, but we're raiding together, so it's fine. And then Jason Lucas from the Starting Zone. So we had a really great panel, and we actually talked for about an hour and a half about about BFA, kind of putting BFA to bed and trying to figure out what we're going to be moving to next in that panel.
Yes.
We kind of knew.
I mean, you got through it.
Yeah.
But, you were good. You were good up there, man.
Thanks.
There was a Hearthstone panel that was really good. The Overwatch panel was excellent. The Classic WoW panel featured my boy Platinum WoW
and Josh Corbett.
Corbett.
Others from that neck of the woods. It was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was just
overall.
It was a good night.
Yeah, best World of Podcasts ever.
And it was
busy.
It was
very busy. Yeah.
Woo.
So
every year it seems like we're actually like every 2 years it seems like people are coming one day earlier. Right?
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
Like I came on Tuesday and it was basically like going on Thursday like 5 years ago. Whatever it was.
Well, yeah, I mean, the earlier you go, the more people you see, and the longer you stay afterwards, the less people you see because everybody's leaving.
Right.
And it's more depressing.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, definitely recommend going earlier.
Going early, leaving fairly early. Yeah. Almost immediately. Okay, doors are closing, everybody. Okay, I got to catch my plane. Got to get out of here. So.
Yeah, but speaking of BlizzCon, so Friday was amazing. First day of BlizzCon.
Yes.
You and I got to sit at the Mythic D stage for the opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
Do we want to? Are we still doing an overview?
No, let's kind of go through the opening ceremonies because there was a lot there, right?
Okay.
I mean, there was kind of a lot there. So first we had J. Allen Brack, Jab, coming out early before the actual countdown, and he came out and he talked about the Hong Kong situation. Now, what did you think about what he said? Because let's just face facts. Stuff was stepped in, sure, and it wasn't necessarily all of Blizzard's doing, but stuff was stepped in, right? Yeah. And do you think that it was at least enough for the people that were there?
Yes. I was hoping that he was going to do that, and in my opinion, I know this isn't everybody's opinion, but in my opinion, I think he did it in the best way possible. He owned up to it, he acknowledged it, but he didn't get too technical or I just because no. Here's the thing: nobody wants to come to the opening ceremonies and hear all about that stuff. Like the people who are in the audience who paid to be there didn't pay to be there to hear about all of the stuff that had happened that had been making them worried and upset all year and recently. But like I said in a previous episode, he needed to say something up front so that anybody in the audience, in IRL or otherwise, who was feeling a little bit upset about what happened or morally sort of challenged in some way could, kind of look at this and say, okay, the president of the company, he acknowledged it. They didn't ignore it. There it is on the table, but it didn't take too long. It's fine. But now I can go and enjoy the rest of BlizzCon and all the announcements without feeling conflicted, hopefully.
Right.
And I think he did just that. And, it wasn't too long. He kind of built it into a little pep talk for everyone, which I thought was important as well. And it, of course, it didn't appease everyone, but, all of the journalists there got to, go back up to the press room and write that, J. Allen Brack came out first thing before anything at BlizzCon and just, address the elephant in the room and then move on with it. And, but at the same time, it's BlizzCon, Blizzard's turf, it's Blizzard's event. And, we didn't need a whole PowerPoint presentation on why they're sorry about it. He just got it out of the way. So.
Yeah. The one thing that I will say about this is that he said, yes, he did take responsibility for it. And the other thing that he said was, we know, or I know, I can't remember exactly what the words were. I know that words don't mean much right now.
Yeah.
And that we're going to have to prove this with actions, which says to me that going forward, we may see some different actions, hopefully.
Yeah.
And for those guys that don't, or that distrust or don't believe whatever J. Allen Brack is saying, guess what? You're not going to believe it no matter what. So let's do the action part of it. Let's make sure that we're walking the walk. And yes, let's move forward. And I think that it was enough to at least have people move forward in the thing, be able to enjoy the games, because right after that was the countdown. And then it was,
that countdown was busted. It stopped at 4.
7, 6, 5. And then boom.
Oh, yeah.
Diablo 4.
So,
that was amazing.
That
cinematic was like, oh my God, just your mind just breaks.
It was scary and creepy.
It was scary and creepy. You're right.
It was scary and creepy, and I loved it. And unfortunately, where we were sitting at the D stage, something broke.
Yeah.
And so we missed most of the middle of it, but we could still hear it.
Our immersion was ruined. Our immersion was ruined for about 30 seconds. It was fine. It's
fine, whatever. But that cinematic was terrifying, and I loved every second of it. And I'm not a huge Diablo player, but I was ready to go home and play Diablo. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. And it was the perfect thing to follow, what J. Allen Brack had said right before,
Sure.
it was enough to just go, okay, somber, solemn moment kind of thing. And now D4, it's so metal,
And I know that we're not going to necessarily talk too much about D4 or the other games other than World of Warcraft and Warcraft related stuff. But I was able to play a little bit of that. Druid, man.
Very thick, very
Druid
juicy.
is very druid.
Werewolf, werebear.
Yes.
Moose hat. Where it at?
That's right. He is the crazy hobo fighter man, that big burly dude. And it's the same voice as Sourfang. Same voice actor as Sourfang. So it's actually pretty cool. And I'm the animations were just sick and so cool. So cool. And the landscape looks great. It looks awful. It's like so awful that it's great.
Yeah, insanely detailed grossness. Love it.
Right. And so really looking forward to seeing how that all, comes about and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think... Did they say what... I don't remember hearing a date on that. Did they say if it was going to be 2020 or not? I don't think it will be.
You don't think so?
I don't know.
That's a long time.
I know, but they still have a ways to go, I think.
Well, the demo was really cool.
The demo was sweet.
So then we got WoW. The WoW cinematic.
The WoW cinematic for Shadowlands. Oh my God. So a little bit of a story. So we all know what happened with the Shadowlands cinematic, where Sylvanas comes in to come beat up the Lich King, who's Bolvar. And let me just do something here. I think I screwed stuff up on. There we go. So there's Bolvar with with his mace, right?
Yes. And
so
face.
sweet. And he was red, and then he turns blue, because that's what you do, I guess.
Of course. Like if anyone approaches me, I'm like, oh man, I'm about to switch from red to blue right now.
Right. And so he started off hot, ended up cold. And then there was a shooting
it's like
spree.
Icy hot, except reverse.
Then there was a shooting spree and of arrows and the shadow arrows from Sylvanas. And then the chains came in, took him down, and she ripped off the mask and she put it on her face. Right?
No, that's not what happened.
Oh, that's not what happened.
That is not what happened.
What happened?
So she picked it up and she's like, this thing empty. Yeet. And she rips it apart and tosses it. And
right. And
nobody saw that coming.
And then the sky opened up like the picture that I'm showing on screen right now.
I've never screamed like that before.
We all know what that is. We all know what's going on there. Oh, that's Sylvanas. What happened there? All right. So, yes.
Yeah, so sky broke. And then honestly, I did not see that coming.
No.
You know? I didn't see that coming. Like it was a great debate. Like we all thought that she was going to stick the helmet on. The great debate.
And we actually talked to Taryn Gregory about it in the bar later.
We did.
And if you were at BlizzCon and you did not talk to Taryn Gregory yourself, you probably heard him talking to other people throughout the weekend in the bars, in the streets, at BlizzCon itself, whatever.
He's everywhere at BlizzCon.
I don't think you could miss him. He was there forever. He just stays there and he yaps about all the stuff, and it's amazing. It's
wonderful.
wonderful.
Confirm he stayed out very late every night.
Yes.
But he's like, his passion for what he does is amplified at BlizzCon.
Yes, and he is super into BlizzCon, super into making sure that he's talking to the community all the time. And he said that they had only done 3 hard pivots like that before. Well, not before, total. One was Wrathgate, when you think it's going one way and then you get blown up by the...
Wait a minute.
Yeah. And then I can't remember what the other one was.
Right.
Off the top of my head. But then it was the mask. Then it was that was the third
and
one.
It worked. Yeah. And it worked. Like the first thing he said to me after I saw him after that was like, did you think that she was going to put it on her head? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course I did. I didn't expect her to break it. I didn't even know she could do that.
Right.
So she's like, we've seen her get progressively more powerful lately. And
So now we have that. Now we have the Shadowlands stuff. We have I don't know, this weird place that we're going to be going to, the Maw. And
I mean, nobody can escape the Maw.
No. Well, we can.
Can we? Because Ian said that we were going there.
Yeah, and that we were the only ones that could escape because we're not actually dead.
Well, that's true. But what if we die when we go there?
They said something about that, right? Oh, yeah. I know what it was. They said that if you die while in the Maw, especially, that you will get the attention of the jailer.
Yes.
And weirder stuff might come up. It sounds pretty horrible.
You know what?
It sounds this Maw thing sounds pretty horrible. I say we just leave it alone.
I don't think we should do that, Pat. I think we should go right in.
Why?
Just dive right in.
Why?
Why not?
Haven't we done enough?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Haven't we done enough for Azeroth? I mean, we've defeated. Well, like for me, Lich King. You know, that was a pretty bad dude, right?
So you're saying like we're just all sitting around in Azeroth. You know we're battle worn, chilling. Right. It's like we're looking at over the land. Like, do I really care that much about?
You just say, not my problem.
Like, you know what?
That's not my problem.
I might actually be okay with being obliterated.
I am sitting here on the beach having a beverage. Bust up the sky right above me. How dare you?
Can you imagine just like the sky breaks and like your
pull down my shades
level.
and pull down my shades and look up and go, you know what?
Oh man,
I'm just done.
Yeah. You know, when that sword like came yeeting right through the planet, I was done.
Right.
You know what?
Right. Right.
It's fine. I've lived a good life. I'm 120 levels.
It's totally cool.
That's a long life.
Yeah, it is. It's going to get shorter, though, isn't it?
Yes.
So we have so much to talk about Shadowlands, but I kind of want to talk about the other stuff that happened at the opening ceremonies. You know, they talked about Heroes of the Storm and Warcraft 3. Warcraft 3 is the beta will be available, if it's not already, for all virtual ticket holders. Deathwing is going to be free for Heroes of the Storm for all virtual ticket holders. And then Hearthstone stuff. Descent of Dragons, they had a cool song, which was great.
I love those songs. Getting better.
They have the Battlegrounds auto battler thing, which I've checked out. It's actually it's okay. It's Hearthstone's version of auto chess, and it's I still need to figure it out. But
yeah, I don't think I'm smart enough. Like, I'm not smart enough to play actual chess, so.
Oh, you don't have to worry about it too much. It's it's kind of fun. You know, I think if you're kind of hesitant about it, just like watch somebody like Kriparian. He's been doing it basically all day today. So
cool.
You know, Krip is cool. He knows what's going on. And then, of course, we had the Overwatch 2 cinematic. The announcement for that looks really cool. We got to play the PvE side of it. And then I was actually able to play the push map. Very, very fun. That cinematic had me crying like a baby immediately.
That was a very emotional cinematic. It's as awe-inspiring and crazy and exciting as the WoW cinematic was. The Overwatch cinematic was very emotional, and I don't know. We've been waiting to see something like this for years. If you love Overwatch, you get very invested in the lore and especially in the characters. And, you know, all we've ever wanted since we started playing Overwatch is to see more videos or any lore of them just like interacting with each other and like how they would, fight together and what Overwatch would be like if it got back together. Like, we saw Winston do a recall years and years and years ago, you know? It's like calling all these Overwatch agents and being like, hey, let's get back together. And then after that, nothing. But now they were together. And
they got the band back together, man.
Yeah. It was like an
Avengers movie.
Exactly.
And, you know, it was like, this is the big moment. This is the big hero moment. You have the big hero struggle at the beginning, and then you have the other people jumping in to save Winston. And, I should have brought Kleenex. I should have known.
Winston didn't put up his shield the entire cinematic, though, and that was really triggering me.
No, he moved a car. That was what he did.
Where's his shield at, though? It's like when people are playing. It's like when you get this random-ass Winston tank, and he won't put up his shield, and you're like, I could really use a shield, man.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where was 76? Where was he at?
76? He's chilling.
I guess.
Somewhere. Like, leave him alone.
Okay.
There's already enough DPS.
There was. I mean,
and we got to see Echo fly in, doing her thing. So she's another flying hero, I guess. That was cool.
Yeah, sure.
And we get another hero, Sojourn, who's Canadian, finally.
And we have the Toronto map, which is the push map.
Yes, and I only have one problem with that Toronto map as a Canadian. I think other Canadians will agree with me. But in the map, it's snowing, which would suggest that it's winter. And the trees have these red maple leaves on them, which is lovely. But that is not correct, Patrick, because in the winter, maple leaves fall off the trees. So,
I know.
Not accurate.
I know.
This fantasy video game, not accurate.
But that's why they call it fantasy. So let's talk a little bit about Shadowlands, about what we know about it so far. I think that would make sense.
Okay.
And actually, you know what? Before we do that, just real quick, I want to talk esports. Can I do that?
Yeah. This is your show. Why are you asking me?
It's our show. Come on.
What?
So esports, real quick. MDI was cool. Method beat Method so that Method wins.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
The MDI is the greatest esport of our time.
You may. WCS Grand Finals, for those guys that really love StarCraft, it was actually kind of cool. The one big upset was Raynor beat Serral to go to the finals. So the kid beat Cyril. This is the only the second time that he's beaten Cyril. And unfortunately, he lost to Dark in the finals, or, fortunate for Dark, I guess.
No, it was unexpected, which is cool. I love that.
Yeah, it was cool. And I think people picked Dark to go to the finals, but they didn't necessarily pick Raynor. They knew that was going to be a good game, though. Then we had Hearthstone Global Finals on Saturday, and Lion.
Oh my God.
Won. Female Hearthstone player from China won, the first female champion to be crowned for Hearthstone. Yeah, at BlizzCon.
At BlizzCon, yeah.
Right.
It was. I honestly regret not being in the room when that happened.
Yeah, me too. Because
that's one of the coolest things that's ever happened at BlizzCon, probably.
Yeah.
And it was so deserved. Like she was creaming folks. Like she was just like when she was playing, like you knew her opponents knew that they did not stand a chance.
Right.
And I love to see that.
And then we had for AWC the next day for Saturday that night, Method Black won. So that was pretty cool as well. We had for Overwatch World Cup, we had the USA actually cleaned up.
Okay.
They beat some really tough teams to win.
They really did. And like the thing is, as much as I wanted Canada to win, and I do, and I did, and I thought that they would, congratulations to Team USA and for all the Americans. Like it was actually really nice to see, because the majority of BlizzCon, exactly, USA. The majority of BlizzCon goers are American. And it was cool because you guys were, screaming like USA, USA, even like after the match and like all night and stuff. And so I was really happy for you guys. Not happy for me and my team, but really happy for you guys. And yeah. Oh, and Zorbix makes a good point. AWC went to Game 7.
Yes.
At BlizzCon.
Yes.
We were there. We were sitting next to the caster desk, so we couldn't really see what was going on in the game. But that's a choice.
Right. We wanted to hang out with the casters.
We wanted to watch Rich Campbell react. Oh, and Zico. When he stands up, it's going down.
Oh yeah.
And Sid and Benruki. It was good.
It was very, very good.
Yeah.
And the MDI was no slouch either. Even though it was a 3-0 deal, right?
I was cheering for Method EU, so I was very happy.
It was still a very good matchups, and that last game was actually really, really cool because Method NA actually finished first, but they had 4 deaths, and then
that's right.
EU came up like 5 seconds later and said, sorry.
Yeah.
And just sorry, we were just gonna take that. So it was a great last game for the MDI. It really was. Okay.
It was all across the board. I think this year, all of the esports that went down
were phenomenal.
Fantastic.
Phenomenal. Yes.
Like Korea didn't win Overwatch World Cup again. Crazy,
Right.
I think in every esport, okay, maybe not in every esport, but in most esports, it was like kind of an unexpected turnout for the grand finals. So,
sure, a little bit. And then just one real quick thing, and then we'll jump into Shadowlands. Okay. I just kind of wanted to talk about some of the panels that I saw that I thought were really cool.
Yeah.
Because if you have the virtual ticket, I want you to go watch the voice panels. And I don't know exactly what they did for the Overwatch panel. I plan on watching that as soon as I find the time between my many naps now that I'm sick. But the voices of Azeroth was
best panel.
So cool. So cool.
Probably the best panel I've ever seen in my entire life, and I'm not exaggerating.
That easily, because what they ended up doing was they had the voices of Sourfang, Sylvanas, and who else? Anduin.
Manduin, yeah.
And Taryn Gregory filled in for Thrall at one point, and he did a very, very good job. But they did a live deal of the cinematics that
2 cinematics
we got to know. So it was really, really cool.
It was great. It started off as a regular panel. And we got to see each actor's kind of insight on how that went and how they kind of I don't know, put it all together. But then even more cool, we got to see some footage of the voice of Sarfang and, you know, whoever does the voice of Thrall, I'm not sure. That was a joke. We got to see some actual
small name guy. Nobody knows.
Yeah, some Metzen guy.
Yeah, who knows?
So Tom Metzen, I'm not sure.
Tom?
So
No.
yeah, Tom Metzen. So anyway, so we got to see like 2 5-minute-ish clips from the actual room where they kind of like put together the cinematics and, you know, go over the voices and sort of like figure out the characters and what it's going to sound like and their intentions and stuff. And it wasn't like it was I feel like it was a real fan service because it wasn't like the most glamorous clip you've ever seen. Like you couldn't see Chris Metzen's face, like it was the back of him. But they showed it was the reading for which cinematic was it?
There was Old Soldier. No, was it Old Soldier?
No,
it was the one where Anduin and Saurfang were in the jail. There's that one.
Oh yeah,
right?
well they reenacted that one, but for the clip it was
the clip.
It was the one where Saurfang goes to Draenor to grab Thrall, and they had the 2 actors sort of reenact like say the lines but in their own words. So there was a lot of swearing, which was really cool in my opinion. Lots of F-bombs coming out of Saurfang and Thrall.
Well, they bleeped them, so we weren't exactly sure, but
still.
Yes, I mean that's basically it.
But the emotion they were putting into it was insane, and it like they were conveying the same lines in the cinematic as they would have said, but in their own words. And so it was like the same thing, but conveyed through real people speak, which was somehow like more relatable and therefore more emotional. And it was insane. It was crazy. And so then after we saw those clips, they had everybody come out and like stand on stage and reenact some of the cinematics. We have Christy Golden like read the stage lines and stuff, and Patty Mason like come out and be Sylvanas. And like not only were they doing the voices, but they were doing like the actions and stuff, like Saurfang and Sylvanas fighting each other.
Right.
Like they had like the stage fighting and everything. Taryn came out, like he told us the day before that he was doing this panel in the morning. So, you know, we hauled ass to be there as soon as possible, but he wasn't there. And we're like,
right.
What happened? But he came out halfway through to be Thrall and to stand there and act as Thrall. And he busted out these lines.
He nailed it.
He nailed it because he sounded like Chris Metzen. Like
he actually sounded like Chris Metzen, which was weird because if you've ever heard Taryn talk, he talks in an upper register, and so
yeah.
And he actually went on socials later, and he with a video of him doing the voice again live on the video, and you go, oh my God, that's so great.
Yeah, he sounds just like him. And he said to me later that, you know, he's been working with Chris Metzen, you know, for so long, and not only working with him, but like, you know, working with his voice on the cinematics. And so essentially he's been studying the way Chris Metzen talks for years. So like, who would be better at this?
Who would be a better understudy than the guy that studied Metzen?
Exactly.
So,
but honestly, like Taryn for War Chief.
Right. Exactly.
Kind of, you know.
Taryn for War Chief for sure.
But so after that, they did 2 reenactments, and then they played 2 sound bites. And I don't think we should spoil them. I think people should watch.
No, I think. But at the end of the panel, the big news is standing ovation from everybody there.
Yeah.
Because it was so incredible, so amazing of a panel that I think that if you don't have the virtual ticket, get the virtual ticket. Talk to me. Yeah. Maybe I can get you the virtual ticket. I don't know. I don't know if that's not a promise. I'm saying I could try, but I don't know. But it's totally worth the price. That alone, that one panel by itself.
It was incredible. It was
totally worth it.
It was everything. And like those 2 sound bites at the end, again, they're funny. They were amazing. They're bloopers. So, you know, they're good. But like overall, that panel had, you know, insights from the actors, a theatrical production, massive fan service, like sneak peeks into the actual room in which they create these things. And like I was crying, I was laughing, I had goosebumps, and it was standing up, clapping, and it had everything. It was literally the best panel I've ever seen. And if you're a Warcraft fan, definitely check that out.
Yes. So on top of all that stuff, we have many other panels that I'm sure that you should go see, including the deep dives and what's next panels and all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about Shadowlands in just seriously 1 minute. Because I also wanted to bring up the WoW Q&A just real quick. And Taliesin and Evitel did a great job.
They really did.
And there were a couple of Hong Kong protest or phrases or whatever. I mean, we had red shirt guy and another red shirt guy at the beginning, and at the end of his deal, he said the thing. Yeah, said the thing. And
he said the thing, and then
and Taliesin was like, "Cool, awesome." Yeah. And then there was a little kid that busted in, and Taliesin gave him the mic and let him say it. And said, okay, thanks.
Yeah, that was the same kid from the NBA video. And he literally came to BlizzCon to do that. And apparently he was up there, and he got up there by like saying that he was looking for his brother, that he lost his brother or something like that.
But it doesn't really matter, because I mean, no. The idea behind it, and we talked to some people that were working the Q&A stuff, and the idea was, we're pretty sure it's going to happen.
Yeah,
we're just gonna let it happen. Yeah. Because guess what? It's a thing. We know it's a thing, and we will deal with it, as we can. And there were protesters, sure, outside. There were about 30 to 50, and they were giving out for some free stuff. But Blizzard was working with those people to make sure that everybody was safe, that nobody was out to, hurt anybody. We were just, we were all there to work peacefully together to have a good event. And to bring awareness and all that kind of stuff. It was cool that Blizzard was kind of accommodating everyone. Yeah. Rather than trying to force it to not happen, which would probably cause more problems in the long run. And there was even one dude, and I don't know if there was more than one. I only saw one Winnie the Pooh outfit.
I saw a couple.
A couple? Okay. There weren't many, though.
No.
There weren't many. There was like one or two.
All things considered, it didn't make a huge impact on BlizzCon at all. And in fact, actually, that's not true, because I feel like this year's BlizzCon, like, everybody was so nervous about something bad happening that we all kind of, the camaraderie this year was off the charts. Like, we were all just so happy to, like, all the Blizzard fans were just so happy to stop worrying and moaning about all of the stuff that, this cursed year has brought us, and just like find any excuse at BlizzCon to just enjoy each other and the announcements and the games and the esports finally, and just not worry about it for a second. And I think like BlizzCon really achieved that, like we were able to go and have a good time despite the year that Blizzard has had and we've had as Blizzard fans. And it actually made it, I feel like it actually brought us closer together, if anything.
Well, sure. And I know that, some YouTubers, and I won't name names or anything like that, but they have a tendency to maybe try to bring us down more. They're
showbiz, baby.
They're taking advantage of the bad will towards Blizzard and all that kind of stuff to build their own audience or make them money or make them feel better about themselves. I'm not sure exactly what, but this was. It was there. It was a thing, but everybody seemed to be working together to make sure it was a peaceful event. So that part is nice. All right. Now we'll talk about Shadowlands.
But we haven't talked about the rest of BlizzCon, Pat.
But we should also mention that we will have more to say next week as far as all of the BlizzCon stuff. I do want to do some giveaways next week. If we can figure out how to do it, that would be great. We do have physical prizes to give people.
Oh, yeah.
But that will have to wait until next week because we never figured out exactly how we wanted to do it.
I have no idea how to do anything, really.
And if you're watching the video right now, I'm holding one of the statues that we got for BlizzCon. It won't be this statue. This statue is mine. This one is, you can't have this one. But we have a couple of other ones that we might be able to give away. And maybe some other prizes. I'll take a look at the prize closet. We'll see what's going on.
You have a prize closet?
Yeah. Doesn't everybody?
I don't know. I thought you had your regular clothes closet and then you had your costume closet full of those like really sparkly spanky pants that you showed me. You remember that time on webcam? You're like, look at all my sequin shorts.
Yeah, well.
And they're all spandex. You said you had a career in dancing beforehand, but I really don't think so because they fit you now.
Right.
You know, and you were talking about then, right. Like I just got a little suspicious about that, and then you tried to pass it off as you were in a barbershop quartet, but they don't wear stuff like that, Pat. I'm just curious about that closet. Like, how many closets do you have?
A lot. So before we get to Shadowlands,
we're not going to get to Shadowlands.
God, we're not going to get to Shadowlands, are we? It's really cool though. Shadowlands looks really, really cool.
Why don't we just do like an overview of the cool stuff at Shadowlands, and then we'll do a deep dive next week.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look at Shadowlands just really quick, and then we'll finish out the weekend of BlizzCon, and we'll see what's going on, because I know that we have an XQC story, at least one. At least one story there. And probably some other things.
Probably.
You know? Right. So let's take a look at Shadowlands real quick. We've got 5 new zones. Sorry. We've got Bastion, Maldraxxus, Ardenweald, Revendreth, and the Maw.
Yes.
Right. We've got these new things called Covenants.
Yes.
Which is kind of like Aldor Scryer type of thing.
Yes.
But But there's 4 of them, and it's the Kyrian, the Necrolord, the Night Fae, the Venthyr. Do you know which Covenant looks most amazing to you right now?
I don't know. For me, it's a toss-up between the Kyrians and the Venthyr right now, but Night Fae have cool stuff.
Night Fae have really cool stuff. And Night Fae are kind of more druidic. They're more druidic type of thing, so I think I'm going that way. But
I don't know yet. The nice thing is, though, like when you choose your Covenant, you can pick another one instead later if you feel like you made a mistake, but it's going to take some stuff. Like you can't just do it all willy-nilly.
It's going to be a big deal.
You're going to work for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, which I like, you know?
The nice thing is that you could try them all out while you're leveling in those zones. And remember, leveling is changing. So now level 120 at the beginning of Shadowlands, you are now level 50. You're going to be level 50, and then you'll do 10 levels in the Shadowlands.
Yeah, so 60 is going to be max level now. I'm down with that. Honestly, we all knew that was coming, right? Like Ian's been talking about it. Yeah, Ian's been talking about it for like 2 years. So I'm cool with it.
And so this kind of goes with, this kind of ties in with, I'm happy with it. You know, I had the Paragon leveling thing. It's not that, which is fine. Let it die, Patrick. I am letting it die. And I think that this is actually better than that. So look out. So you'll play, a new player will start in BFA to be able to kind of catch up to the story and figure out where we're at, and then move into the Shadowlands. It'll be good.
Shadowlands.
It'll be good. And then everybody can be a DK. DK starting zone starts at 1. It will be a new starting zone, and it will feature Bolvar. We all know
better.
We all know Bolvar.
That's good though, because then everybody will get familiar with him. I'm really excited to see some Pandaren DKs.
Yeah, no, it'll be good.
It's like adorable and not. Remember that dude in the Lich King cosplay at BlizzCon who was also walking a corgi?
Yes, that was great.
It'll be kind of like that, except with more panda.
There was an amazing, Arthas with a corgi.
Yeah.
It was great. So we have all of those things. We have this Torghast Tower of the Damned, which is going to be kind of a...
Tower of the Damned. It's like a new... It's a dungeon.
It's kind of a mage tower without an end.
Yeah. So it's end game, outdoor zone. No, that's Torghast. So indoor. The tower, it's indoor.
Yeah. But it changes all the time. You can do it up to 5 players. You can go around, you collect all the runes, and the runes can help you with building your own legendary, which I think is a really great way to do legendaries, actually.
It is. And
so you know what? I am going to say for the idea, not for the, I mean, we'll see exactly what ends up happening, but for the idea of building your own legendaries, I'm going to say thank you.
I've always wanted to see some world content that changes every time.
Right.
Like I've always wanted that.
And so this is going to change all the time. Not only will the tower, the layout change, but the mobs will change. And so we're just going to see what happens there. We have anima power.
Anime power?
Anima power.
Ah, yes. Anime power.
And we'll have soul binding with particular NPCs that will have talent trees, essentially. And you can switch those in and out as you wish, I guess.
I love getting soulbound to people.
We'll figure it out. And then during the deep dive, Brian Holinka came out and said, "Oh yeah, and we're giving you some of your stuff back for class stuff, like I don't know, kill shot for hunters. That seems pretty cool."
Can I just say I met Holinka like 3 times over the last week. He knew who I was. That just blew my mind. There's also one point where you and I were sitting in the press room and there was no other seats, and he came over, and instead of like finding another chair, he literally like crouched next to you on the ground in such a way that would suggest that he was sitting on an invisible chair, and yet there was no chair. It was literally just his molten steel legs keeping him upright.
Holinka's good people.
Yes.
He's good people, and he knew who you were, and you know, I'd met him before.
I'm gonna take that W and never let it go. What's up, world? Holinka knows who I am.
It's good. It's good. And then we also have all the new customizations, which is something that you were after, right?
That is all that I wanted, and I got it. And you know what? That is the sweetest plum. Going to BlizzCon hoping for one thing.
And you may even get a backpack out of it.
Maybe I'll get a backpack, but I'm just saying, like, we are getting some hella customizations, and it was cool. Like, obviously I don't play human, but it was pretty sweet that there's going to be like more different kind of human looking options for humans
right
now. You know, and across the board, like everybody gets more customization, and literally that's all I wanted. Like I literally could have watched, like if they had a panel about the new customization stuff that lasted like 3 hours, I would have spent 3 hours wiggling around in my chair being happy about this, because like literally
it was pretty crazy. I mean, we've got a lot of new human ones, which is great. You can be a wild hammer now as a dwarf, which is great, without having to worry about, you know, being an allied race or something like that. Mm-hmm. And trolls have new looks. Undead, you can do more with the bones sticking out of your skin.
You can, if you don't like your bones sticking out all the time, you can literally just put that in your waistband and don't worry about it.
Right. So it's not a big deal. I was just gonna let you just sit there. Just gonna let everybody stick there.
Customization, because you have to wear pants in WoW.
Yeah, sure.
You know, this is a joke.
That's it. That is it. No, but it's really cool, and so it seems like everything is kind of on track for you know, a very alt-friendly type of deal as well. So
the Azeroth I want to live in is one where everybody looks just a little bit different underneath their transmog.
Right. So
don't. I can see you, Pat.
You know, there are many things that I could say.
No, I know.
I'm not gonna. It'll be fine. We're just gonna leave that there. It'll be fine. Okay. So that's kind of. Was there anything else? Did I miss anything?
Oh, tons of stuff.
Of course I did. And I guess we'll talk about most of that next week. Was there anything else that you wanted to address?
Specifically for WoW, or?
Sure.
I just wanted, well, I guess from like a personal standpoint, I don't need much to convince me to play WoW, because I'm just going to do it anyway. But this, you know, the cinematic, all of the updates, Shadowlands, it's reinvigorated me. BFA has been weird for me personally, just because it's the first expansion that I've ever played through where I had no time to play WoW. That's never happened to me before.
Right.
And I know I'm fairly unique in that, but I didn't have a lot of time to play it, so I feel like I'm connected to it the least. And I hope that I can make up for everything with this expansion. And I couldn't be more excited. Like, everything sounds so good, too good to be true. And this whole storyline, it seems extremely interesting and mysterious. And I don't know, like I talked to a lot of people last week about WoW, and most of them were telling me, like, you know, I was feeling the grind on BFA, but now I cannot wait to get back into it. And I think that's best case scenario for World of Warcraft announcements. Just people, you know, after 15 years being like re-energized and ready to go for a new expansion. And I think they really knocked it out of the park.
Cool. And we have a world first Obsidian World Breaker mount from Lupin in our chat room. Congratulations, Lupin.
Oh,
way to go.
Oh.
It's not a world first. But congratulations anyway. For the 15th anniversary, you can get the mount. That's awesome.
I want like that so bad.
So do I. Now, let's talk about other stories. Because let's talk about some folks that we met, and you can tell your XQC story.
Oh, man.
I know you want to. No, wait. But I want to first give a shout out to Warcraft Stats, because we actually ended up hanging out with him quite a bit. And he is an amazing and funny person in person.
Oh, yeah.
As well as online. If you know Warcraft Stats and all the memes and all the dad jokes and all the things, he was fantastic. And this year we got to hang out with him for a bit, and it was just a really, really fun time. So,
you know, his actual name is Dan.
I do. I knew that.
I was calling him Warcraft Stats, and then at one point Pat's like, "I'm gonna go hang out with Dan," and I was like, "Who's Dan?"
I'm like, "It's Stats," and she goes, "Oh."
Yeah, I get it.
Oh.
I get it. Right. But yeah, we got to hang out with a lot of really cool people. I got to hang out with Caden a bunch. Sowers came and sat next to me for both WoW Esports, which was really cool to have him there. I hung out with Taryn probably the most, which was fantastic.
Taryn was all over the place, and yes, we were hanging out with him quite a bit. It was fun. Got to
see Randy. It was his birthday yesterday. He was up at if you ever want to see Randy, he's usually working at Darkman Fair.
Yep.
So you can go and see him. He's always got amazing things to say and lots of insights on all of these stuff.
He does. He's a very nice man.
Hell yeah. Who else? I got to hang out with a bunch of my Overwatch League homies, Blaze and Bob and Melissa.
Those guys were great. Those guys were all over the place.
Yeah. They're so nice.
They were all over the place. Seriously, I would see them leave one way and then 5 minutes walk in from the other way. It's like, did you guys just like run around the building and come back in through the...
They have a lot to do.
They were doing everything.
I got to see Sloot. I got to hang out with Zyronic a bunch.
Zyronic was cool. You know what was weird? Is that Zyronic wanted to meet... I don't know. How does Zyronic even know me?
He was very keen to meet Pat Crane.
He wanted to meet me, and I'm like, I wanted to meet you. That was actually cute. That's one of the best things about BlizzCon ever, is that I get to geek out about meeting everybody, not just the casters, not just the developers and stuff like that, but I get to geek out for meeting the content creators that we see every day, that you guys see every day, and I get to geek out over meeting all of the guildies that we have, and meeting new people that are really cool.
Everybody's
cool.
So nice. Everybody's so nice.
Yeah.
It's the best place to meet people. I met so many members of CTR. All of you are over the top nice, which makes me feel incredible. So thank you for that.
Maybe you should play Alliance every once in a while.
Well, I'm not going to do that. But you know, I will appreciate CTR, the raid or the guild,
Sure.
IRL and elsewhere, but you know, I it's hard for me to appreciate Alliance in game, but
It was so fun to hang out with everyone, and saw Patrick from The Instance and Tally and Evitel, of course, and had some good fun with that. Mike Preach was hanging out, and it was good to meet up with him. He's been on the show. Apparently, we were the first podcast that he was on way back in the day, and we'll have to have him on again and see what he says about especially the latest stuff with Shadowlands.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting.
Totally.
And then go ahead.
We got to hang out with Zorbix a bunch.
Yeah, Zorb was great.
We hope we can have him back on the show at some point soon.
Sure.
Like hanging out with all my MDI people was fantastic. I haven't seen them since Australia, so that was great. You and I, we went to on Friday night. We went to a BlizzCon party.
Yes.
And that was fantastic. As soon as I walked in, Blaze and Bob's like, "Hey, Thyst," because that's how he talks. "Meet Symmetra," and he pushes me over to actual Symmetra, who is dressed like Dragon Symmetra, and she was so
cosplay.
Nice. Oh,
really good.
It was I've never seen anything like it. I got my picture with her. She gave me some nice advice about, taking selfies. Everybody was there.
And at the thing. What ended up happening at the little BlizzCon party or Blizzard party, I guess is what it was, right? It was we had a couple of drinks. They had some really bad food out. It was great.
I don't drink, so
right.
I was.
So you gave me your tickets, which was nice.
I did, and Pat Crane just got.
I got
so
lit.
Wasted.
I got lit.
So.
I didn't get lit. It was fine.
He did, though.
All right,
I've seen some dance moves Pat Crane has never showed anyone.
You could have used maybe like a drink. Just one. Because XQC was there.
Okay, so I'd seen XQC like 500 times. First at Cheesecake Factory, then he was walking around live streaming. And I watch all of his I don't know all of them, but I watch a bunch of his streams where he's walking around at events. Like the last one was TwitchCon. Not the last one, but the last one worth noting was at TwitchCon. And, people are always coming up to him, and it's fine. Like, that's what he wants. But I chickened out. There's some people in the gaming sphere that scare the crap out of me for some reason. And that's mostly everybody. But for some reason, I'm a big XQC fan. Anyway, so I chickened out, and people were telling me, like, just go up to him. He's so nice. And I know he's nice. Like, I know he can come off a little crazy on his streams, but he's actually a really nice guy. And, being Canadian, we've got something in common. So I'm at this party. I'm surrounded by people I love, and I'm chilling. I'm having a great time. It's been a great night. And he was standing there. He was with Adept. She was dressed like a cheetah. Which is like, for anybody who knows XQC jokes, she was dressed as a Cheeto. But then I didn't want to bother them because they were, talking, and Canada had just like lost that night. And I knew from social media that, XQC was upset about it. And I saw them, and I didn't want to like interrupt them or whatever. So, but then he was just sitting by himself at one point, and I was like, this is my chance. It's never going to happen again. It should have happened earlier today, but it didn't. So you know what? Gonna go for it. Thyst is gonna go for it. So
boy, that drink would have really come in handy right about there.
So I walked over. Yeah. And
it's a good story.
Yeah. So I walked over, and I stuck my hand out, and I was like, "Hey, XQC, I'm a huge fan." And he's like, "Oh, thanks. What's your name?" And I'm like, "It's Thyst." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Thyst." Nobody knows what my name is when they hear it first. And he's like, "Oh, hi, I'm Felix." And I'm like, yeah, I know. So I shook his hand, and I just kind of stared at him for a second. Hopefully a second, it felt a lot longer. And so I kind of gestured to Zorbix and Zyronic and Jack over in the corner. And I'm like, "Yeah, I've done WoW Esports." And he's like, "Oh, cool." And I was like, "Yeah, it's not important." So I'm Canadian too. And he's like, "Oh yeah, whereabouts?" Because that's what Canadians say to each other. It's just like, "Oh, you're Canadian, whereabouts?" And I was like, "Ottawa." And he's like, "Oh." And then he does that Canadian thing where you sort of like figure out how long it would take to get to from where you're from to course. Where this person's from.
Yeah.
So, he's from Quebec. So he's like, "Oh yeah, that's so-and-so hours away from me." And I was like, oh yeah, I know. And then I was like, you know what? And I just start talking because I'm like shaking at this point. I'm like, yeah, my brother just moved to Quebec, and Felix is like, because we're on a first name basis now.
Right.
He's like,
of course you are.
That's nice. And I'm like, yeah, he moved in with his girlfriend. She's French. And Felix is like, that's nice. And I'm like, yeah, they actually met at the Comic-Con over there in Ottawa.
Right.
And he's like, uh-huh. And I was like, yeah, she was dressed like Diva when they met. And he's like, oh, that's great. And I'm like, yeah, I'm so proud of him. And he's like, uh-huh. And I'm like, yeah. So anyway, I talk a lot when I'm nervous. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yep. So,
Yep.
Can I get a picture? And he's like, of course. And so we took a picture, and then
You lost all your cool. Any cool you had was gone by the time that conversation was over.
I wasn't cool walking into that conversation.
No,
but,
you really weren't. No, you were nervous AF, as they say.
Yeah. Excuse he's not watching, but if he is, thank you for being cool with me. And so I sort of walked away, and then I went over to my Overwatch friends, and I showed them the picture, and they all like, they're like, yay! They're like throwing their arms up, they're hugging me and stuff, and
laughing at you along the way because you told them,
yes,
because you told them the story, and we were having a good time. We had a good time. So you actually landed back at home this morning.
This morning, yeah. I stayed longer because my raid team, we were all housing together as usual.
Yeah.
And I don't get to see a lot of them during BlizzCon because I'm working.
Sure.
And going to all these functions and stuff, and I'm always staying out later than they are because they're a lot smarter than I am. And I got to spend the day after BlizzCon, just like, you were there in the morning, and it was nice. And we played lots of like Jackbox games together.
Right. Yeah, that's
we went out for dinner and stuff. We went to a Big Lots. I've never been to a Big Lots before.
New experiences.
It was great. But yeah, and I hate leaving California because like everybody I like is there, and I love spending time with the people that I won't get to see very often.
Right. It was a lot of fun. And so you actually were able to sleep a little bit today, which is nice.
Yes.
So that's good. And so you came home today. I'm sick. So we're both at tip top shape.
Oh yeah. The problem is like throughout the whole week, I kept getting up at 7 to like maximize my time hanging out with people.
Yeah.
And going to sleep around 4 or 5 a.m. to maximize my time. So
Yep.
The problem with that though is like people are talking to me and asking me very thoughtful questions and telling me very interesting things, but I just want to apologize to every single person that I hung out with or met or both at BlizzCon this year. I was running on like 3% battery.
Yeah.
I was not. See, I'm having trouble now. Like my body was chugging, like it was going. I was very proud of me in that regard, but my mind was just.
Yeah, it was like it was tough.
It was. I can hear myself being dumb, and there was nothing I could do about it.
Me too.
I mean, I'm used to that, but it was a real problem.
I could hear myself being dumb, and I'm like going, okay, well, I'm being dumb. Why am I being dumb? Oh yeah, I've had 3 hours of sleep.
Exactly.
And I haven't followed. I didn't follow my own advice. I was super wired on caffeine when while I was awake. And which was most of the time, and I wasn't eating properly, and I wasn't doing all this other stuff. And the last day I was finally like, I need to eat. I know that I need to eat because I've only had 2 meals over the last 3 days or something. Basically. And it's like, let's go. And so, and I wasn't hungry. That's the stupid part. I wasn't even hungry.
You have to eat.
But I was like, I just need to. So.
And you did. What day was that?
That was Saturday.
Oh yeah. Well, there's one thing that I noticed that I hope I remember for next year when we do BlizzCon prep shows and stuff. And this is true. When you're going to BlizzCon and you're doing the whole BlizzCon experience thing, like before you go, and I know it's not everybody's like this, but for me, every year I try to like diet, make sure I look okay, make sure I've got some new fancy clothes, cool shoes, whatever. Just like we all want to look our best because, for a lot of people, BlizzCon means like meeting people you admire, meeting your peers, hanging out with your friends, just trying to be the best version of yourself. But I need to tell you that like throughout the whole BlizzCon process, there's not a single person who looks perfect, like we're all really tired, really hungry, sweaty, disheveled. It's and nobody has time to really worry about the way that they look. And by the end of the night, like you go to the Hilton or the Marriott or whatever, everybody looks like they had the best time all day. And usually when a human has the best time, they don't look their best,
The only person throughout all of BlizzCon that I'm aware of that looked really great, and I know had a great time,
Pat.
was Josh Corbett.
Oh,
from Countdown to Classic. He's a very handsome man. That's all I'm saying. He's got it together. And anyway, so him and Brian Holinka. Okay, all right.
We all know how you feel about Holinka.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Like the world melts away.
He's a good guy. I just like him. And he used to do so. We used to do this thing called drinking and swearing on Friday nights. Got a little out of hand. That's why we dialed it back. But Brian would come on every once in a while, and that was so cool. And we played like a game that wasn't Blizzard related, and PvP, something stupid, fun, whatever. And he is like the best at PvP. It's amazing. And so now that he's director of combat, I'm like, we're in good hands. We should be.
We will be.
So
we're in good, strong hands with arms. And who can sit with no chair.
Right. All of those things.
Yeah.
All of those things. Now, was there anything else BlizzCon related that you wanted to talk about or anything like that?
Let's see. There's just so much. And
it really is.
I posted about this earlier on Twitter, but this was my favorite BlizzCon.
I'll play some music here. There we go.
So this was my favorite BlizzCon so far, mainly because I saw a lot of my friends, you included, Pat.
It was great hanging out with you, dude.
Yeah, but I saw a lot of you do incredible things and achieve a lot of things. And, some did panels, some, some people did a lot of things out of their comfort zone this year. And I just, I won't name names or anything, but I'm just really proud of everybody who really stepped up and made this BlizzCon their own and had a lot of success with it. And I felt like I got a lot closer to a lot of people that I really love and admire. And I made a lot of really important new friends. And a lot of incredible things happened to me that I can't talk about. But and I just want to thank everybody for making my BlizzCon absolutely incredible. And I think I can speak for both of us, Pat, when I say thank you to everyone who worked on BlizzCon so tirelessly to make it so incredible despite all odds, pretty much. And thank you to everyone who came up to us and asked for photos and stuff like that. That feels good. That feels real good. And, obviously I know how hard it is to approach people sometimes and ask for pictures. So thank you to everyone who did that. And I don't know, just thank you for the best week of life.
Now, what I would say also is make sure to scroll through our socials because over the last, week or whatever, because there are lots of pictures up there and we retweeted and liked a lot of different stuff that was going on in Anaheim. So I'm at Pat Crane with a K. You're at Thyst03 pretty much everywhere that we are. And so you can always check it out there.
I'm uploading all my photos to Instagram. So that's Thyst_03 if you want to see all my weird pictures.
All right. And I also want to thank everybody for a lovely, lovely time. I thought that this was my favorite BlizzCon for my own personal thing, on top of all the announcements and all that kind of stuff. That also helped. But it was just a lot of fun. I felt like I was in a different, I don't know. I felt like I was in a really good place for some reason, and I don't know exactly why. Huh. What do you think about that?
I don't know, man. Maybe it was all the Holinka interaction you had.
Maybe.
Pat Pat plus Brian equals forever and ever.
Dude, that's true. That's been true for a long time. Okay, I just want to that's been true for a while. So it's all good. It's all good. But definitely thank everybody that came out to BlizzCon. Thank you guys for being lively in the chat on our Discords while we were there. I didn't get necessarily a lot of time to read and respond, but I do appreciate it for sure. And thank you to all of our friends.
Yeah, I'd like to
New
thank
and
you,
old.
Pat, for picking up from the airport.
Yeah. Well, and I want to
appreciated that.
And I want to thank you, Thyst, for I don't know, being
Convincing
you, being
to grow
you,
that beard. Oh, thanks.
being you. So
That was much
so
nicer
there.
than what I said.
There. Now, if you want to check out other things that we do, or actually, if you just want to find us wherever, go to converttrade.com. That's where all of our videos and audios and stuff like that are. Yeah, chat room. Thank you guys for all of you guys that carry us around with you. Thank you. We will go more into the Shadowlands next week. Oh boy. I hope I'm better. I hope I'm better by then.
You better be.
Oh, I'm gonna go
Then I'll do
pass
this
out.
show by myself.
I'm gonna go pass out now. Woo! But for Thyst and myself and everybody here in the Convert to Raid broadcast emporium, thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Until then, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.